Welcome everyone to the Aspect podcast. My name is Karen. I am the marketing coordinator, and today we are with Dr. Chip Kay. He is the superintendent of Columbus Public Schools in Nebraska, and Henry Wellington. He's the founder and CEO of Upbeat. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Hello.
Hi, we're good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So to start, can you both tell me a little bit more about your background?
Yeah. So I'm in my first year as superintendent at Columbus Public Schools. I have 7 years prior superintendent experience at a smaller district just outside Columbus. Finished up my doctorate at the University of Nebraska at Omaha a couple of years ago, and we have a very unique community despite being rural with a population of around 30,000. Our economy is based on manufacturing, and so that presents some unique challenges for a school district of our size. And so have been partners with Upbeat since 2021 and really appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
Awesome, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Karen. My background is I was a middle school special education teacher, and I taught in two schools where there were a lot of challenges with morale and retention. Being the special education teacher, I looped with my students, so I spent 7th and 8th grade with them. And I just saw the impact on them when they lost a teacher who was a confidant, a teacher who knew their family, a teacher who understood how they learned, and they were just such tremendous supports and resources for me in trying to support my students. And I saw the negative impact on them when those teachers left. That's what motivated me to start Upbeat, to provide clear information around why teachers leave and why teachers stay at the district and school level. So we provide a research-based survey that's grounded in K-12 teacher retention research. And then we provide a support as well in terms of a former district leader or principal who can meet with the district, meet with principals, and be a thought partner on taking next steps with that data.
Perfect, thank you. So today, the topic is the focus on teacher retention strategies built on teacher voices feedback. So to start, Chip, can you share background on Columbus Public Schools? What are the key challenges your district has faced with staff engagement and retention? And how have these challenges impacted school climate and culture?
Yeah, so one of the things about Columbus Public Schools, so we have about 41, almost 4,200 students. And in not a very long time ago, less than 10 years ago, this was a district of about 3,200 students. And so rapid growth of our community and our school district really put some strains on programs, hiring, and facilities. You then mix in COVID, 2019, 2020, and a district that typically would see less than 10% turnover was now seeing above 15%. And we even got so high as to 18%. And the number of reasons people were leaving really were, I think, I feel, and not, I know we can address. And so we needed a way to gather solid data, improve our exit interview process, and really dive down into engaging our teachers. And so the challenges we faced is how could we get back to that 10% or below turnover ratio, because we know the best way to retain teachers is to make sure you're meeting them where they're at, providing the resources to be successful. So we needed a partner and a strategy that could help us figure out what that was and start crafting a plan outside of our four walls to solving that problem.
Okay, and you guys have been using engagement and exit service data to inform teacher retention strategies. What has your experience been with utilizing staff surveys in the past?
So really, it was what I would tell you prior to 2021, it was a hit and miss. There was not a formal exit interview process. The district staff would put together their own surveys, and you can get the answers you want when you design the surveys yourself. And one of the things we needed to do was step away. And so a third-party partner like Upbeat became the most logical choice for us. scientific-based questions, anonymous, the ability for our staff to anonymously submit their responses. We could compare our responses nationally. There were so many advantages, and it kept getting farther. The data we had at our fingertips twice a year, we could measure improvement, allowed us to be able to develop an action plan, allowed our principals to receive coaching from an outside source on how to improve engagement in their building. And we know from years of research that if I'm trying to provide support as the superintendent or somebody in the executive office, principals feel like they're being evaluated while they're being helped. And so having that outside coaching really allowed our principals to feel supported and free to bounce good and bad ideas off. So, the new survey, the new process of working with Upbeat gave us data we could truly use and that we didn't have an impact in biasing. And then we even coupled that with some other strategies like improving our expert interview process and then doing some superintendent listening sessions. And so because of that, we were able to triangulate data. And so when you're starting to hear the same themes 3 times through 3 different methods, you can really hone in on what you have to do to work to retain your staff.
Thank you. Henry, what have you seen as critical when implementing staff engagement surveys in K-12 school districts?
Yeah, so I think what you need to start with on that is the teaching profession is a unique profession. You walk in the door, you go to your class, and your sole responsibility there is to support your students throughout the day. And often teachers don't have an opportunity necessarily to interact directly with colleagues, or if they do, it's for a short period of time in the day. And then, there's sort of these other times where they come together. And that is not necessarily your standard experience for an employee across all the different industries. There's normally more colleague interaction and more working together in terms of a team. And so that, I think the number one thing is you need to have a survey that's designed for teachers, for K-12 teachers, that is grounded in the research around what causes them to be engaged, what causes them to stay. And then there needs to be specific questions for that group because principals are really busy. They have a lot of information that they're combing through. They have a lot of stakeholders that they're managing and working with parents and students, their staff, the district leadership that supervises them. So they need to have a time and space to review the information, support with reviewing the information, and they need specific information that they can review that helps them figure out next steps. You don't have any time to waste in these kinds of situations. And so data that's research-based, that's highly specific to the K-12 employee experience, highly specific around action steps that principals and district leaders can do, ends up saving a lot of time for principals and district leaders. And then a process to review that information that allows a principal to take time, look at what their staff is saying about their work experience, and connect with somebody who has been a principal and has been a leader so that they can be a thought partner for them. Those are really important aspects of how a survey can be designed and how a process can be designed to support and retain teachers.
Thank you, Henry. And Chip, can you share with us a specific example where survey insights led to a meaningful policy or initiative that improved teacher retention?
Yeah, absolutely. So we took that data from the first year in 2021, and we immediately were able to find some themes. And so our focus areas became teacher input and voice, work-life balance, and professional development. And so when we started crafting an action plan, we looked at the things we could control. And so there were some parts of work-life balance we realized we can't control. But we can do some things. We can do a few things that we control. So for example, we added work days into the calendar. They were contract days where students weren't present, where teachers could stay on top of the demands, especially during the the post-COVID time, and really it seems like it hasn't switched, that teachers just need time to develop lessons, whether grade papers, collaborate. All those things became an integral part of what we're doing. The collaboration then became a big part of the professional development. And with those extra days, we were able to expand our professional development beyond typical strategies of teaching, learning, and curriculum. We brought in speakers on managing stress. We brought in speakers on developing work-life balance. We brought in speakers on leadership. So we expanded even beyond the typical. And then for the teacher voice and input, I talked a little bit about, I have a superintendent advisory council. So teachers have input that way. They get a listening session with the school board once a month, where the board has 2 representatives that go to buildings. We do the upbeat surveys twice a year. We've expanded that beyond our certified to our classified staff. And then we've got a robust exit interview. This even changed the way we recruited. And I think that's a big part of it, that we aligned our recruiting and growing and retainment strategies to the national strategies, but they started because of the data and the steps we were taking with Upbeat. And so, we have a formal onboarding process in the summer. We realized that connectivity was a big part of why people were staying. So we bring our all newbies in for 3 or 4 days. They do training. We know exactly what training every staff member has told us they need to get started. We pay for them to stay in Columbus if they haven't relocated. We do dinner with the board. We do a social. We do a community outreach. We connect them with the community. Through the Upbeat process, we've discovered that these changes in our practices and our policy were how we were going to be able to truly recruit and retain staff. And we've seen over time a dramatic decrease in turnover. We're now closer to that 10, 11%. We're really one of the lowest if you look at our like-size schools in Nebraska.
And Henry, so from the point of view of Upbeat, what have you all seen make an impact on improving staff culture and retention in school districts?
Yeah, so Dr. Kay spoke to a few of these examples, but the number one most important practice that we've seen is for principals to include their staff in the decision making around what next steps they can take as a principal to improve the work environment for their staff. So that looks like getting back this survey data that's highly specific and we know is research-based around what will impact a teacher's decision to stay or leave their school. And the principal showing to that staff, okay, here's what's going well, here's what's not, and having a process with them to gain their feedback. So for principals can kind of decide exactly what they want to do there. Some principals are comfortable having an all-staff meeting and reviewing the feedback together and maybe doing a gallery walk where they gain from their teachers thoughts around what the data is showing, what are some possible improvements that can be made, and then getting that information back to the principal. The principal has to be the decision maker. They are the leader in that building. And they can kind of share back with their staff a little bit of like a green, yellow, red around that. Red being, hey, I hear what you're saying. We just can't do that right now. Yellow being, let's work on this. This is going to take a few months, but I'm working on it. I'm going to update you on it. And green being, hey, that's great. Thank you for suggesting that. We're going to start doing that in the next week. But the principal then, and it doesn't necessarily, I know I described an all-staff meeting, but it could possibly be the leadership team. It could be a leadership team of teachers. It could be with the assistant principal and 1 or 2 teachers in that group. You need to have a process as a principal to share with your staff that you are reviewing this information. You would like a little bit more specific insight from them on what steps can be taken. And then again, as the leader of that building, you need to take the next steps, follow through with your staff. And when we've seen principals do that and start that process in November, December, even January, we've seen them grow in terms of engagement at the campus. grow in terms of some of the questions and categories in our survey, and grow in retention. And we know ultimately, that's going to impact students and that's going to impact student achievement.
Awesome, thank you. So to wrap up the conversation, last question. For districts looking to strengthen teacher retention through surveys, what key lessons or best practices would you share?
Well, I know at Columbus, buy-in was critical. And so we've got buy-in from the school board, administration, and teachers. And it starts with buy-in. The second thing is we've developed data-driven action steps that we can point to why we were working on the things we were working. And we've been very, very transparent in the results, even in some cases where it shows we have more work to do. That has created a level of trust among our teachers, administrators, and executive management that we're all on the same team working together for the same cause. We've also been responsive and willing to listen and try to be solution-based in everything that we're doing. And it all points back to the type of surveys you're going to do. And I don't think I can stress enough that our partnership with Upbeat and the type of surveys and data that they're able to provide us along with the coaching has been very key to the successful implementation of the other part that we do on our side.
On behalf of ASPA, I want to thank you guys for your time and for the conversation. Thank you.